Okay, Father Barr, I know you've been to the March for Life before, 6 or 7 times, I think you said. Your very first march that you went to, what was your first impression?
I was just surprised. I was just taken aback by how many people there were. I went with the seminary and from Connecticut, and we go to the night before. We go to the basilica, and there's like 5,000 to 8,000 people there, and you're crammed. You're like this. You're walking through the crowd like this, and it's and just see all the people there, and the goodness of the people that are there. And of course, there were sleeping bags on the floor, and so the teenagers were sleeping on the floor and all that, and going from there and going through the procession. The procession was 45 minutes long, 30 bishops, 200 priests,
Wow.
150 deacons at least, and it was just all inspiring. And then of course after the mass you could see all the basilica. My first time at the basilica. And then of course in the basilica they have each chapel has a different image of Our Lady throughout the world.
How many chapels does it have?
The number 18 sounds about right. That's sticking in my head.
Wow.
And I don't know if that's just on one floor or if that's on both floors, because there's the upper and there's a lower level.
Wow.
And there's big screen TVs everywhere that they put up, so that people in the basement and in all the niches and all the chapels can still see what's going on. So seeing it on TVs isn't the same thing, but it's just the experience of being together.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a great experience of Catholicism, being one, being one with so many different people.
So did you notice anything different this year, several years down the road? Is the crowd larger, smaller, younger, older?
I would say it's about the same. Back then it was a lot of young people. It was hard for me to see. I couldn't see as much. I was able to actually get up higher the first time I was there and to see the kind of crowd. One of the times before I actually took my video camera and I have like a small tripod, I just collapsed down into a stick and I just raised it up. And I used that, and I just kind of turned around one year, and it was beyond what the camera could see. Just people there. So it was definitely in the hundreds of thousands.
Wow.
Definitely.
Now, I know they had speakers and so forth. Did you attend the rally where they had all the speakers this year?
This year I did. Normally I can't get close enough. But because we got there right away, we got there close enough, we had a pretty decent spot. So.
Did any one speaker stand out in your mind more than another?
If anything, I thought actually the politicians were the better speakers.
Well, they had more practice.
They had more practice and everything, and they knew what they wanted to say. Some of the others were good. They're just informative. I just had a lot of information. A lot of the stuff I knew already. So, some of the statistics going on and things like that. But they're good to have. They need to have that there to encourage anybody who maybe not know. Maybe they're new to the March for Life and things like that. So.
Was Dr. Alveda King speaking this year?
No, I did not see her this year. She might have spoke somewhere.
Have you heard her speak in years past?
Yes, actually, I went to a Seminarian LifeLink conference when I was a seminarian, and she was there and was with us throughout that conference. And so it was really kind of neat to be able to chat with her and to get to know her a little more, and that was a really good experience as well. So.
You went with a small group from Freeport this year.
Yeah.
Next year, would you repeat that, or would you try and go more with a diocese and have a larger group of people and be a little more organized?
I'd like to go with a bigger group next year, because a lot of times I'm like a little kid at the March for Life. I just love it. The joy that's there, the energy that the youth have, the goodness that the people have. You can just walk up to anybody. It's almost like you know them already, because you know their goodness. It's people are friendly. They help each other out. It's just a great crowd to be with.
Because the media never really gives it coverage that it should have. They just kind of ignore it. Do you think the march is really effective? Do you think it's having a good effect on the people?
I think on the people that are there, it brings them hope. Because a lot of times, as being pro-lifers, we don't feel like we're connected. We feel like we have this small little group of people, maybe within a parish or maybe neighboring towns, and that's all we see. But when we go to the March for Life, we start to realize, whoa, yeah, there's a lot more people out there than what we expected. Actually, one of the times I went, I held that video camera and I kind of spun it around, showing it, and there was this one other woman, young woman, that I showed it to, and she was a nurse, and she felt like she was the only pro-life nurse around, which is probably not true, but we all feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
And her mouth just dropped. She's like, just watching the video camera, she's like, wow. And she's like, and so she wasn't even there, but showing the video of it, she's like, wow. She said she doesn't feel so alone anymore.
Will you be getting any people together at your parishes to discuss this and talk about your experience and have them ask questions that they might have?
Yeah, I would like to, and actually I'm going to get together with the group later on this week with the teenagers, and they're going to talk about their experience about it themselves. I'd like to really be able to get some of them to come and talk about it, some of the teenagers to talk about it, maybe to other teenagers, and encourage them to do it. It's almost like from the teenagers' perspective, it's almost like a little mini World Youth Day. I mean, they got the beautiful masses, all the music. They got the contemporary Christian music and all that stuff you'd hear at like Steubenville retreats and things like that, and activities as well. So it's just really great. And there's, of course, all the places you can see. I always like to see the Washington or the Lincoln Memorial, because it's got the Gettysburg Address on there and things like that, the historical aspects, and of course the things of faith that our founding fathers relied on. And you see it in their quotes, and so I like to bring that out and show people the faith that our founding fathers had for this country.
We think of it, because we are Catholic, as a lot of Catholic participation in the parade, but did you find other faiths there? Did you find Protestants, Mormon, Jewish, etc.?
This year, yeah, every year I come across different signs. This year I came across Anglicans for Life and Lutherans for Life, and there was a Presbyterian one, which was a specific church that was for life. In the past I've seen homosexuals for life, agnostics for life, and various other things. I can't remember what I saw, but I would say overwhelmingly are Catholic, probably 80–90% are Catholic. I think there was one actually in the past which actually was Pennsylvania. There's a Pennsylvania University or Pittsburgh or something like that. So it was a university, it was a secular university that I saw as well at the college.
So then the whole purpose really shows the unity of the pro-life movement across the board, and getting together and trying to make it a positive statement to alert people, so the people that are there, do they go back to their various churches and parishes and become more actively involved in pro-life locally?
That's what we kind of hope that they do. And I'm hoping to kind of talk to some of the teenagers about this, using this experience to learn more about the faith and about why we're pro-life, because a lot of it has to do with the faith, but also there's a lot of reasoning that's beyond that isn't our faith. It's just, they have agnostics for life, and so just using human reasoning, we can come to the conclusion that it's bad for society that we would abort our babies. And I just want to also add that when we go from that basilica, 8,000 people there, and then we go to the Verizon Center where they have their youth rally the next morning. They usually have at least 20,000, maybe 25,000, something like that, and that's all youth there. And so it's great, when I take groups there, their mouth would drop just at the 8,000, and then they're like at the youth rally 20,000, and they're like, wow. and they're playing the live music. They got the live band, and they have just about as many bishops and priests there and deacons there celebrating this Mass, and knowing that at the same time there are other bishops at other Masses all throughout D.C. And, you know, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people. This year they said there's another stadium that would actually, with like the same amount of people that were at another youth rally. And then, of course, they also have the Constitution Hall, which handles 5,000 to 8,000. And they usually end up having to turn away kids at the door. I mean, there's just, the place is so packed. All the churches in the D.C. area, they're open up. You know, and I remember one year we had to go wait in front of one of the Catholic churches down a couple blocks, and that church had a couple porta potties out there. They were serving donuts in the basement, waiting for the buses, because that's where a lot of the buses would come after the march. They would come and pick them up at the churches, at the Catholic churches. And so that was kind of an interesting. They'd offer coffee, and that was cold. That was about 2 or 3 degrees out that day when we had the march out. So I was really glad they had something hot. But
so this all happened this year when the wind chill was below zero and it was snowy and cold and miserable, and still all these young people came out and got up that early to go to Mass.
Yeah, yeah.
It gives you hope for the country.
Oh, they were just so joyful. They actually wanted to get going. They were just eager. They were eager, chomping at the bit to go to Mass and all that. And they would get to bed. You know, I was, you know, I'm getting a little bit older now, so you know, I wanted to get to bed around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and you know, they're up until 12:30, and they're up at 6 o'clock in the morning. They're going, and they want to go. You know, even on the way driving home, you know, one of the parents who was driving on the way home, they said, you know, they were still in bed at 8 o'clock, and they knocked on the door. Okay, we're ready to go, and so.
It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
In past years, there have been calls from the pro-life presidents, and we of course couldn't expect that this year, but did you have any communications from Pope Francis? Yes,
there was actually a delegate from the Vatican there, and he's usually there every year, and they read a letter and a message from Pope Francis, and of course he gave his own address, which to me that was the most touching part of that at the Verizon Center at the big youth rally. So he wanted to be there for the youth, and offering his solidarity in that way. And as well as Pope Francis also offered a tweet, so he tweeted, and of course Cardinal Wills said that he retweeted, and that message for everybody. So that was good. But that was really, I think, just hearing the youth sing, you know, all these teenagers singing, praising God, knowing they're about to go out in, you know, very cold weather.
It sounds like that might have been one of your favorite experiences then.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, did these young people come strictly from the United States, or did they come from other countries?
Most of it is from the United States. There are some people who will show support, like from Ireland, and I think there was a couple of people from Spain as well. I don't know how big of a group, but that's what I heard about. So that was good. And I know Ireland is going through some pretty tough times right now. The government is going directly against the will of the people. The people don't want it, but they're caving into international pressure that way. So
there's also a Walk for Life out in California.
Right.
How many people attend that one?
I don't know the numbers there, but it is gaining. I want to think it was in the 20,000 range, which is pretty good. And that was a week later, I think, about, not quite a week later. So there were also like things like even at the march. At the march, it's just fun. You know, the people are singing, and it takes a while to get going. And you know, some of the things that they would be doing, especially with the college, and it's great to see the teenagers' reaction. You got the college students, and they would be chanting, you know, chanting, "We love babies, we love babies, we love babies, yes we do, we love babies, how about you?" And then, you know, of course, then you're supposed to chant back louder, you know, the same thing. And then you kind of go back and forth that way. And so it took a while for some of the teenagers to kind of, wow, you know, there's a lot to take in, you know, especially with so much going on And even then, actually, in the past years, I've actually seen it where like they're shouting that, and you know they'll have like a big guy, and then one of the girls will be on the shoulders, and they'll be doing that, and it's like a college
Giant pep rally.
pep rally. Yeah, yeah, and so it's just a lot of fun, and of course there was a group from I think it was CUA, Catholic University of America, and he had a bullhorn, and he was singing to Queen, you know, "We are the champions, we are the champions," that song. And so, but he put pro-life lyrics to it. So so they would do it to, "We are we are pro-lifers, we are pro-lifers, no time for killing, for we love the babies." You know, and you do that with rap songs and stuff like that, and it was just kind of fun to be able to do that. And you know, the other group was doing "Obama, your mama chose life." You know, and they were just kind of "Obama, your mama chose life," and just chant that. You know, so it was positive. You know, it wasn't ripping on anybody. You know, they didn't do that. It was just all very positive, joyful singing and chanting and all that.
On a local level, because some of these teenagers from the local Catholic high school went, do you think that's going to increase the numbers next year because they'll be going back and telling everybody about it and get them all excited and enthused? And has this pro-life group at the school grown that you know of?
I think it has grown, and it does grow. It might be harder to get the March for Life to grow because one year it might be easier for them to go, and then the next year they can't go. You know, scheduling and things like that. But hopefully we can get more and more people to go. I think it's just good. It's good for people, for pro-life to go. It shows the solidarity. And it encourages. It brings hope. It's just good all the way around. Again, like if everybody does their part and encourages more people to go, we can really build this up, and it becomes a pilgrimage too. Especially when you go on the bus, you know, you spend a lot of time praying, and preparing yourself. So it's also, it's not just activism. It's a way of you're praying while you're doing it. So it keeps you in that mode of, you know, growing in holiness, and it challenges you that way as well, because you know especially if you go in a big group, you're on the bus and all that, and so it's been a good experience. I've never had a rough one. I mean, you always have bad weather, and it always it never ceases to amaze me that, you know, it seems like, you know, like the Martin Luther King days, like it always seems to have better weather, and then all of a sudden, a couple days later, the March for Life, all of a sudden the weather just turns really bad, which, you know, which is kind of amazing, but it also makes you think that, you know, all these people are willing to go through this bad weather to witness for these babies and for all people, you know, so that their dignity can be honored. And so go through that suffering a little bit and receive grace when we do that.
Dare I assume then that you're going to start planning for next year's trip?
Yes, I really would like to, and my idea is hopefully I can get the Knights of Columbus to be able to help with organizing that and going with the diocese next year, and then maybe put a little bit of promotions.
Yeah, maybe raise funds for some of the kids who would like to go that couldn't afford to.
Yeah, yeah. In the past, it cost about $300 to go through the diocese, which is a pretty good price. You're talking room and board, you know, in the bus out there. So you like the food you gotta pay for, but it's fairly reasonably priced. So, and there's a lot of things at JP2 Institute over there, which is right next, about a block away from the Basilica, and of course you can go to the Basilica as well as anything. There's always a day where you can go and visit the sites, you know. So, yeah.
Well, Father, since you are making preparations for next year already, if anybody's interested in joining you or wants to know more about this or has any questions for you concerning the march, how can they get hold of you, and what can they do to join you next year?
Well, I would say probably just go to our website, stjosephstmary.com. So it's stjosephstmary.com. And it can be updated on anything that goes on, especially the events at our parishes. So it'll be a parish event, so it'll be an easy way. And of course, anything else that goes on as well. And keeping updated also with any kind of life issue as well. I put a lot of things on life issues there. So yeah. So I look forward to going next year. I'm really kind of excited for that, and I know the kids will be real excited to go.
Yeah, we'll have to do this again next year.